Here we make a list of criminal couples who accompanied each other in murdering their innocent victims. 1. Charles Starkweather and Caril in Fugate. They began dating in 1956, when Charles was 18 and she was 13. Charles went on a killing spree, murdering 11 people in Nebraska and Wyoming between December 1957 and January 1958. He was 19 years old. He committed his last murder on January 29, 1958, the day he was arrested. His girlfriend Caril, who was 14, accompanied him during his spree. Of his victims were Caril's mother, stepfather, and Caril's 2-year-old half-sister. They were both convicted on charges for their parts in the homicides. Caril became the youngest female ever tried for first-degree murder. Starkweather was sentenced to death and executed by electric chair, 17 months after the events. Fugate was convicted as an accomplice and received life sentence. She served 17 years in prison, gaining release in 1976. This case inspired the films like The Sadist, Badlands, California, Natural Born Killers, and Starkweather. 2. Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka. They were a married couple who were nicknamed Ken and Barbie Killers because of their good looks. They had a penchant for kinky sex, which included videotaping themselves while raping teenage girls. This went too far, and Paul ended up raping and murdering at least 3 minors in Ontario between 1990 and 1992. One of the victims was Karla's young sister Tammy Homolka. They were captured and convicted, with Paul being sentenced for life, the full maximum sentence allowed in Canada. In a controversial decision, Karla was sentenced for only 12 years for the murders of 2 teenage girls. She stated to the investigators that she was an unwilling accomplice in the murders. She was released in 2005, after which she married the brother of her lawyer and settled in Quebec. 3. Fred and Rosemary West. They were an English married duo who tortured and killed at least 10 young women between 1973 and 1987 at their residence in Gloucestershire. Fred killed 2 other women before marrying Rosemary. The victims included Fred's stepdaughter, Charmaine West, and Fred and Rosemary's daughter, Heather West. The couple was finally exposed when one of his daughters told her friends, when Fred videotaped himself raping her, which one of her friends reported to the police. Fred hanged himself in his prison cell on January 1, 1995, while awaiting trial. Rosemary was sentenced for life, with the judge emphasizing that she should never be paroled. In 1996, their house where all this crime was committed was completely demolished. 4. Bonnie and Clyde. The most famous of them all, they were an American criminal couple who robbed banks, kidnapped and killed people during the Great Depression between 1932 and 1934. They believed to have murdered at least 9 police officers and 4 civilians. The police gunned them down on May 23, 1934, on a rural road in Bienville Parish, Louisiana. They served as inspiration for many films, the most famous being Bonnie and Clyde, which is now considered a landmark picture. 5. Raymond Fernandez and Martha Beck. They were an American couple who were convicted of 3 murders, which the pair committed in 1949. It was later suspected that they might have killed up to 20 women during a spree between 1947 and 1949. They were dubbed the Lonely Hearts Killers because they met their unsuspecting victims through Lonely Hearts ads. Martha posed as Raymond's sister when he went on a date, which used to make his victims feel more secure knowing there was another woman in the house. Raymond initially only robbed them. Victims, he robbed up to 10 women who he met through ads. But they later started killing the victims because Martha got jealous when Raymond slept with his date. When one of their victims disappeared, her neighbors reported it to the police, which led them to Martha and Raymond. They both were tried and sentenced to death. They were executed at Sing Sing prison on March 8, 1951. The cult classic The Honeymoon Killers, which was named by Francois Truffaut as his favorite American film, was based on them. 6. Ian Brady and Myra Hindley. They were a young English couple of serial killers who tortured, raped, and killed 5 children between July 1963 and October 1965. The victims were aged between 10 and 17. Their bodies were buried on Saddleworth Moor, hence they were known as the Moor's murderers. When their last victim, a 17-year-old Edward Evans, was killed at their apartment, David Smith, husband of Myra's younger sister, was present. They allowed him to go after he helped them in the cleanup. He went to his wife, and they called the police. The police investigated the apartment immediately and found Evans' body wrapped in a blanket, and they arrested the couple. They were convicted of 3 murders and were sentenced to life under a whole life tariff, which was the maximum punishment. They escaped the death penalty, as it was abolished only a month before their arrest. She died in 2002, age 60, after serving 36 years in prison, making her the longest-serving woman prisoner in modern British criminal history. He died in 2017 at Ashworth Psychiatric Hospital, age 79.